Are you over the age of 25 and need to lose more than 30 pounds? If so, the next 30 seconds are crucial to your well-being because Sensa is sending 30-day free trials to anyone looking to lose the max amount of weight. To experience the most dramatic weight loss results, you must want to lose over 30 pounds. Call 1-800-964-5392 now. Due to overwhelming demand, there is a strict limit of 1 free trial per household. 1-800-964-5392. 1-800-964-5392.
Oh.
Fun, baby.
Tell all your friends they can go my way. Pay your toll, sell your soul. Pound for pound, cost more than gold. The longer you stay, the more you pay. My white lines go a long way, either up your nose or to your fame. With nothing to gain except killing your brain. Higher, baby. Get higher, baby. Get higher, baby. And don't ever come down.
What is up, fight fans? We are Cauliflower for the Year. Our call-in number is 347-326-9741. Still choking on a bone over here, gentlemen. Playing that for good old Chris Lieben, who had just came out today that, you know, he failed his drug test, so that's why he didn't look so good that night. Joining me tonight, as always, is Nick Frank. What's going on, Franco?
Yes, sir. What's going on, Dubs? How was your Thanksgiving there, buddy?
It was great. I don't know if that's what's repeating on me tonight, but I ain't feeling so great. Dolo, what's going on over there, buddy? How you doing tonight, Delicious?
Boing! What's up, creepies? Just watched Eli throw a pick piece in the end zone, G-Man in mid-season form.
That is some of the best news I've heard all night so far, being as I'm holding on by like 5 points in my one league where I'm playing Eli.
Yeah, I'm playing Eli in my one league, but I have Victor Cruz, so sort of like a double-edged sword. Every time Victor Cruz catches the ball, I know that Eli's throwing it to him, so I hope that Eli snaps his leg in 5 places.
You know what, though, Frank? Eli threw probably 2 individual 15 or 20-yard passes to Cruz and then came down and threw a pick in the end zone. That couldn't have gone better for you to drive.
Yeah, it was actually a perfect drive for me. I'm playing the fucking commish in League Brutal, and he's up by 60 on me, so I don't really have much of a chance in that league.
Yeah,
well, I just want to point out that I ended your season, 4 weeks ago, so it's not like it really meant anything anyway, so...
Whatever.
Why try? Why try? What about you, Dolly? You win your game? I don't think so.
I'm getting the doors blown off me this week, dude. In the 3 leagues I'm in, I got just absolutely douched in each and every one. And it's annoying, man. I'm in first place in my other 2 leagues, and I'm in third in this league, but hunting for a playoff spot. So, you know, everybody's kind of in the hunt here in this league. So, definitely laid an egg. You know, maybe a little karma for the mother comments last week, but I might double down on them this week.
Yeah, you definitely deserved it. You went a little too far, but you know what? I enjoyed it. I couldn't stop laughing for the last hour after that show ended, so, kudos to you.
Hey, I'm here to please.
I'm sure
Similar to my mother.
But, as I mentioned, did you guys see that story that broke today, that Levin failed his drug test out there in
Oxycontin and, like, oxymorphine and shit. I don't know. He always had, like, a checkered past, and he even said in high school he was a bit of a dope head and stuff, but I just don't get it, man. That's crazy. I don't know. I think it's the first time he pissed dirty for drugs. I know he pissed dirty for roids against Bisbing, and he lost that fight too. Maybe he should just stop doing this altogether. But yeah, he's suspended for a year, dude. They're not playing, and he's not young either.
No, he's not young, but he's been a raging alcoholic pretty much his whole career, and supposedly he had that under wraps. But it's a shame. That's why he dropped 22 pounds in 24 hours, because he was just loaded up with shit. Because you can't crap when you're doing the dope.
Oh, really?
I'm not saying anything from experience. Yeah, you get loaded up in there, and you can't really take a shit. So
good to know.
Yeah, we already got a caller. I'm tempted to go to him already. You guys ready to get one fresh off the line right now?
Yeah, bring a caller in. We got a whole hour.
Bring it up.
That's true. I don't recognize the numbers. This is brand new. Let's get to him.
Press 1.
Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, yeah, hold on. Who's this? Hello?
Hello?
You
called us. It's Cauliflower for the year.
Cauliflower station?
You better believe it.
Yes, it is.
Huh? Hold on.
You better believe it.
Hello?
Hey,
you
Brian.
still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's calling?
Brian, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh. Are you on?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's going on? Yeah, you are.
Announce yourself, please, sir.
Can you hear me? Hey?
What's going on here?
Please present yourself or you're getting straight dropped. Kindly.
I don't know what's going on there, so maybe we'll go back to them if they call back some other time.
I was hoping for press 1, dude.
What was that?
I was hoping for press 1.
So was I. That's why I was all excited. Yeah, I couldn't figure out who it was.
That guy said Brian like he knew you, too. That wasn't your old man or anything, was it, dude?
No. I'm very curious. I'm going to have to figure that out after the show, but it didn't seem like we really had that great of a connection anyway. So
yeah, that might have been Lieben high as balls.
What's that?
That might have been Lieben high as balls. He's got nothing to do.
Oh, no, was he calling? I got to duck Chris Lieben for the rest of my life?
Yeah, and he's definitely going to pencil you in, bro. He's free for the next 365.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm not answering the phones anymore, guys, if that's the case, because I ain't getting Chris Lieben on the lines and getting challenged to a duel, because I'm going to lose, so I'm just not going to show up like a chicken shit bastard anyway.
I think you can take a punch from Lieben, dude. You think?
You think so?
Not at all. I doubt it.
Not at all. Headgear? Like really thick headgear?
No, dude, I mean, we could tape pillows on each side of your head. I still think he'd just absolutely F you up.
I'd like to see, I'd like to see B. Brown just stand there shirtless and see Chris Lieben punch him right in the gut and do it slow motion, see that wave.
Dude, looking like that guy's catching a cannonball in his belly.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Homer Simpson on the treadmill. Look at that blubber roll.
That would be absolutely priceless. But, yeah, I don't know where to go from there after the botched call. So I guess, I guess we were done talking about the Lieben thing, right? Because I don't want to keep rubbing it in just in case that was him. He might be listening.
I think you're safe, man. You got a better chance of that being your boy Timmy Crater, still mad from 7 months ago getting douche.
I told you he retweeted me once, right?
Did he really? Did he tell you to meet at the wall after fifth period on Wednesday for a throwdown?
No, that same show that we ripped him and tooled on him earlier that day, I talked to him on Twitter and asked him to retweet the show, and he said, "Oh, it's really awesome, man. Yeah, no problem."
Do me a favor, retweet the show, but don't listen to it, please. Kindly. Thank you, sir.
Well, I don't know if he listened to it that night. I hope not, because, he didn't, block me from following him, so I'm assuming he didn't listen to that show.
Yeah, he might be that desperate.
That's possible. That's possible. Well, I guess we'll get off the subject of Chris Lieben, and I guess we'll move on to what's taking place this Saturday. A former opponent of his and now a coach on The Ultimate Fighter, Michael Bisping, is going to be stepping into the octagon against the opposing coach, Jason Mayhem Miller. So I definitely am stoked for that fight. You know, I can't wait to see the season finale of Tough this Wednesday and see how that card rounds out. But, of course, we only know the 2 fights that are going to be on that card as of now, which also is Tony Ferguson versus Eve Edwards?
Eve Edwards, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know, I guess we'll break that down. And, Franco, you were telling me earlier, we're going to throw this in with the Fox fights the other day.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, we picked the 2 Fox fights, and then we had the full Shogun Henderson card last week. So we'll just pick these 2 fights, and then after we're done this weekend, we'll basically have 2 events in the books. So we're just going to pick the 2 fights. We're going to add it to our totals, and after this weekend, we'll be 2 events down. Just to refresh the scores, 3rd place right now is the Ginger, Brian the Butcher Brown, with 15.
That is I.
The delicious one, so succulent. He's in second with 22, and I'm leading the way with 26. So we're picking 2 fights this weekend, and why don't I start with my analysis for the main event? Because
I was going to, because you're the champion. You are the champion. The champion always goes first from now on out.
You know, I got to give the people what they want. So you know, this is it's a good fight because you feel like these guys don't like each other, whether it's contrived or whether it's natural. Anytime there's 2 fighters who seem to have a dislike for each other, I take more of an interest in the fight. Starting off with Michael Bisping, he's 21-3, he's got 13 knockouts. This is going to be his 15th fight in the UFC. He doesn't have really big wins against any top 10 opponents. His biggest wins are Matt Hamill, Chris Lieben, Akiyama. The 3 times where he's really stepped up in competition and fought some top guys were Rashad Evans, Dan Henderson, and Vanderlei Silva, and he lost all 3 of those fights. So, people are always talking about Bisping's in line for a title, and is he ever going to fight for the title? Every time he's stepped up, he's lost. But you can make the argument for the Rashad Evans fight and for the Vanderlei Silva fight. A lot of people thought that he actually won both of those fights, but, regardless, nobody thought he won that Dan Henderson fight. But he's got great boxing. He's got really good footwork, good hand speed. Seems to fight with a chip on his shoulder. Comes off as a bit of a prick on television on The Ultimate Fighter. But I think that's what makes him a successful fighter. He's full of piss and vinegar. He always feels like he's being disrespected. Probably the biggest star in the United Kingdom for the UFC. But he's fighting Jason Miller, who's 23-7. He's got 14 submissions. This is only going to be his 2nd fight in the UFC. He fought George St. Pierre back in, I think, 2007, and that's the only time he's ever fought in the UFC. But if you look at the guys that what was it?
In 2005. It's been a long, long time.
But he's fought top competition outside of the UFC, as hard as that is. I mean, he's fought Chael Sonnen and Tim Kennedy, Robbie Lawler, Frank Trigg, Jacare Souza, Jake Shields, Sakuraba. So he does have some name fights, even though he really hasn't made his career in the UFC. A lot of those guys he did lose to, though, but he did beat a few of them. He hasn't fought in 15 months, which I think is going to be the difference in the fight. Almost a year and a half since he's fought, and the last fight was against Sakuraba, who's well over the hill. So I think there's going to be some ring rust. I'm going to be rooting for Mayhem Miller because I like him much more than Michael Bisping. I hope that Miller can find a way to beat him, but I just think that Bisping's too fast, too elusive. He's got enough defensive wrestling to hopefully keep it on his feet, and I think he's just going to use the speed. He's going to use his boxing, and I see Michael Bisping with a fairly one-sided decision.
Wow. I can't disagree more. I like I said to Dolo earlier, the only place that I see Bisping really having an advantage is on the feet, and I think it's a very, very slight advantage. I don't see it as a disadvantage at all to Jason Miller. I think if it does stay on the feet, I think Miller can still win it there. And I don't think Miller's going to be that stupid just to stand in front of him and throw punches and trade. I think he's going to take him down. He knows Bisping's a fish out of water on the ground. He's going to stay on top of him. He's going to control him. And I think it's going to make it to the 2nd round. I think Mayhem Miller's going to win by sub in the 2nd round. But, I'd be really shocked to see Bisping not only knock him out, but even just take a decision from Mayhem. If it goes to the cards, I think Mayhem's going to do just enough to control the fight where the judges are going to have to award it to him. I can't see Bisping being able to do it. I don't think Bisping's well-rounded enough to keep Mayhem from doing what he wants to do. I mean, even when Mayhem fought Jake Shields, and I know you guys don't like Jake Shields, I know you don't, but I had to bring his name up at least once in a broadcast, so here's where it is. When they fought, he obviously was pretty good on the ground because, yes, Shields got the better of him, but in the third round, if he had a few more seconds, he definitely would have choked Jake Shields out. So, he's definitely got a really good all-around game, and he's definitely a legit jiu-jitsu practitioner, and I think, that's what's really going to come into play. I think he's going to stand with him in the first round, and then in the second round, he's going to rip him down, control him, tire him out, and then choke him out. So I just can't see Bisping winning this fight in any way.
Very interesting, Dubs. I hate Bisping. I was such a fan of his on Season 3 of The Ultimate Fighter. He really was a guy I just kind of rooted for, and he's done a great job. Like Nick said, he's a polarizing figure, so love him or hate him, he's definitely going to draw some emotion one way or another. He's just an asshole. I almost don't know if he believes the things he says. Like, on the show this year, basically he's a baby and he cries about Miller doing all this stuff. And Miller hasn't even been that bad when they won. And then, Bisping squirting water in people's faces and he's cursing people out. And then he's saying, act like you've been there before when you win. And then they win and he's just a complete asshole when he wins. It's almost comical how ridiculous he is. That being said, I'm surprised to say that you would be blown away if Bisping won. According to Vegas, doesn't agree because Bisping's a 2-1 favorite right now. He's minus 200.
What does Vegas know, Dolo?
Yeah,
what does
Vegas knows nothing. Exactly. Yeah, it's $1 billion a year franchise, and then Dubs who's talking about having trouble shitting from the dope. But yeah, I would have to say
not from personal experience.
Well, right. Hypotheticals.
Right, hypotheticals.
I like Mayhem Miller. I mean, the guy is really good. He's well-rounded. He's got 14 wins via sub, 6 via KO. He's, like we said before, 12-3 with 1 no contest since he last fought in the UFC in 2005. So he's been on a good roll. But I think Bisping is not that comfortable on the ground, but he's not a fish out of water. I wouldn't go that far and use that as an example. I mean, he looked good against Dennis Cagg in the ground and pound, and that was coming off the Henderson fight in the UK, and he needed that big time, and he finished him on the ground and basically had taken Kang's will. I think he's going to be too much on the feet. I think Miller is certainly game. I think that it's going to be a good fight, but I really do think that Bisping's going to be able to pretty much dictate where the fight takes place with his defensive wrestling, like that creep Nick Frank said. And I got Bisping via decision. And by the way, happy belated birthday, Franco, you asshole.
Thank you.
Franco's birthday was on Friday.
You can't. You really think that Miller can hang with Bisping if they box?
No, I don't. But I think that
No. Dubs. I'm talking to Dubs because Dubs said earlier that he thinks that if there's an advantage, Bisping has it on feet, but it's a slight advantage. I think that there's a world of difference between Bisping's boxing and Mayhem's boxing.
I'm not saying that Mayhem is an accomplished boxer, but he's definitely fought people who have accomplished striking, and he's hung with them. I mean, even in his fight with St. Pierre, went to the cards, and that's when St. Pierre was impressive. He was an impressive striker. He was finishing people. He was knocking people out, and he took them to the cards back in 2005 when everybody was like, holy shit, this GSP guy is going to be something, And now, obviously, you don't see that in St. Pierre anymore, but at that time, that's what St. Pierre was doing. He was knocking people out. He was making a name for himself. So I really, maybe I'm underestimating it a little, but, I really don't see it being that big of an advantage that Mayhem can't stand with him.
Yeah, I just think, as many people that hate Michael Bisping, if you look at his fights, like I said earlier, I don't think he's fought the top competition. He gets a lot of the main events in the UK cards, and he fights, he probably fights, top 15 middleweights, never really top 5 or top 10 guys, but he always dictates the fight. His boxing is such that he decides where the fight goes. He's so technical. He frustrates guys. He picks them apart from a distance. He comes in, he moves out. Even in the Akiyama fight, he started throwing some power punches in that fight. Even the Dan Henderson fight, he was probably winning that fight before he got caught. It was his fight. They were, Henderson was kind of playing into his game plan, and obviously, he wound up hitting that overhand right. But I don't know, man. As much as I really don't like him as a person, just from seeing him coach 2 times, some of that may be, him just trying to sell a fight and sort of market himself as the bad guy. But he's a really good fighter, man. I think as far as technique and what he tries to do, I think he's really good at it. And I don't see, I think there's a lot of guys in that division that can beat him. But I don't think Mayhem Miller has. Mayhem Miller's a good grappler, but he doesn't have the double leg to take him down at will like a Chael Sonnen might be able to do to him. I see Miller being befuddled, and by the second round of that fight, I see it's going to be one of those fights where everybody in the arena knows who's going to win it. I don't think Miller really has much for him.
Well, I think you and I are going to have to agree to disagree, Mr. Franco, and this is where I am going to make up some points on you two guys, because you're both going to sit there and be rooting for Bisping on Saturday night, and then you're going to be really disappointed when you see him go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm going to root for Miller. I'm still going to root for Miller because I like him a lot more, but
nice.
I really don't see it.
We'll see, dude. It's gonna be interesting. I'm just excited that we're finally getting coaches fighting again. This is only the second time we've actually had the coaches of the Ultimate Fighter season. The third time. You had Randy and Chuck fight. You had season 2 where Franklin and Hughes were butt buddies, so they refused to do a catchweight fight, and then obviously you had Tito and Shamrock. So it's been a while since we've actually had this fight happen, so it'll be good because they genuinely dislike each other. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping the emotion doesn't get the better of Bisping because he certainly seems to dislike Miller and vice versa, but I don't think either guy will make a mistake to that level. I think they're both pretty calculated guys, and they're pretty much driven by people hating them, so I think they're pretty much going to be in the pocket and stay where they need to be as far as the mental aspect. But they're both bigger 185ers too. I mean, Bisping started his career at 205, and Jason Miller's 6'1", so they're both decent size. I just think Bisping's going to be too much for him, dude.
Yeah. Now, did you guys see? I read a news article today. It was like an interview with Bisping, and he's probably just with Miller, probably just talking a little smack about the fight. But he said that it was karma for the whole John Dodson thing, that he has a lot of guys that he had trained with over the years that he'd become friendly with that are now training with Bisping. And they're coming back and they're giving him information about the camp. And he said, "Listen, I don't need the information. I'm going to beat him regardless." But I think it's a little bit of karma for the John Dodson thing. So he's playing some mind game, saying, I guess, that some people that had been training with Bisping are coming back and telling Miller what he's been doing in camp.
Is Bisping still boys with Rampage and stuff like that? Because I know Miller did train with Rampage and Czech Congo and all that. So I'm just curious who is coming and giving this information.
Yeah, no, I know they're still boys, though. I don't think Rampage trains at Wolf Flair full time. I think he trains more in the States now, but I know he's still, associated with that camp because I always see him and Congo are always clowning around online and shit.
Yeah, they're definitely still over there when they're in England. They train at the Wolf Slayer, and I believe a lot of those guys come over here and train with Rampage when they're in the States. So yeah, they're still tight. I mean, I don't know who he's talking about directly, but it could just be a bunch of horseshit.
Bullshit.
Well, sure, because of the whole thing, Rampage brought it up. He's boys with Bisping. It just kind of creates the circus that, brings it all back that Rampage started up a couple months ago. But, I mean, it could be true. Mayhem's been around a long time. He knows a lot of people. So, people could be filtering shit to him that, just injury news, I mean, just this week it also came up that Junior Dos Santos believes that his injury was leaked to Velasquez in their fight. So, I mean, it's always been around the fight game, so I wouldn't be shocked. JDS thinks that Velasquez knew about his knee injury because obviously he stood with him. Well, from his point of view, him standing with him, which was a mistake, was because he felt confident because he knew about the knee. And within the first minute, he said he got kicked in that same injured knee 7 times. And if you remember, he was throwing that leg kick right to the lead knee. So it's not too far-fetched to think what Miller's saying is definitely a possibility. But it could just be because of the shit that happened on the show. He just wants to needle Bisping because of what happened with Dodson.
Yeah, and it's so, I mean, the fight game is so incestuous. So everybody knows everybody between, sparring partners, coaches, jiu-jitsu coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, agents, managers. Everybody knows everybody. So I'm sure there's more of this than actually comes to light about, murmurs about what's going on in this guy's camp, what's going on in that guy's camp, this guy's banged up. I think it's just part of the game, so I don't think it's going to be, a difference in the fight. But it's just more of these two guys, I think, hyping the fight and doing a pretty good job of it. I'm excited that the fight's on free TV, that I don't have to shell out $55 to see it, because I do want to see the fight. I'm just glad I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, no. Now here's the thing. Is that going to be the main event on Saturday? Is it going to be a 5-rounder, or what are they doing?
I think it is 5 rounds. I read an article today that it's going to be 5 rounds. So
really,
yeah, we have the Ferguson Edwards fight, and then you're going to get the 2 finals, which we'll find out who is actually going to be in it on Wednesday. And then this is the main event, and I believe if I can still read, which is always like a 70-30 proposition, that it's going to be a 5-round fight. So we'll see. It could.
Okay, so hold on. You read that schedule that it was a 5-rounder?
Yeah, I read an article today, and I'm pretty confident that it said it was a 5-rounder.
All right, I'm going to change my pick then.
Wow.
Oh shit! Maybe we shouldn't have brought this up because I.
Well, here's the deal. I'm going to change my. If it's a 5-round fight, I'm going to pick Bisping in a 4th-round knockout. But if it's a 3-round fight, I want to.
On this, Stubbs? Are we going to allow this? Wow. This is unprecedented here at Cauliflower, like that crazy person who just called before.
But if it's a 3-round fight, I'll take a decision. I don't think Miller's getting through 5 rounds with him. I think he can get through 3 rounds with him, but that's a different fight.
All right. Well, if we're gonna do it like that, then I'm gonna tell you this. I will tell you guys next Monday who I pick after I see all the results. And I am expecting, a la the Back to the Future betting book I have in my room right now, that I'm going to be following.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll keep it simple for you two morons. I'll keep a decision.
Keep it simple, stupid.
K-I-S-S, Mark. Hey, look at that.
So what was your pick again, Franco? I'm going to write it down.
I'm going to stick with Bisping decision.
Bisping decision,
yeah,
really?
And now he's going to wind up knocking him out in the 4th. That's going to be great.
That's why I hope happens, dude.
Right. Well, here's my thing. I'm going to... Go on.
I'm just going to give the phone number for anybody in the room, like Big Dole or Don from Eatontown. Anybody wants to call in, Bill Brown, 347-326-9741.
Yeah, please call in. As you see, we're waffling around here. We're not sure where to go. But I'm going to stick with my decision from before. I think Mayhem is still going to submit Bisping in the 2nd round. I think you're underestimating Mayhem's skills here. And you know what? He trains wrestling with your boy, your favorite fighter in the world, Franco, Mark the Filipino Wrecking Machine Munoz. They train. They train. I forget what the name of their gym is, but they train together. That's where he gets his wrestling from. So I don't know how you're not riding this jock just because of that. And he trains with also Krzysztof Sosinski, which he's got quite the body on him too. So right there we got a very attractive crew.
I love it, Dubs. I love Dubs once he's finds out it's a 5-round. He's like, I'm actually going to stay with the 2nd-round sub. It could have been a 3-round fight, a 5-round fight, or a 167-round fight. The 2nd round would still occur, and if you believe in the submission, you might even go on a limb and say what happened in the 2nd, like you originally said. It's like, 1st-round knockout. Oh, it's 5 rounds? Okay, 1st-round knockout. I'm going to switch it up.
Well, there is no science to my picking, so I've been exposed. You want to change your pick, Dolo? I mean, Franco kept his, but he did make a big mistake.
I'm going to go from Bisping winning a 3rd-round decision to Bisping winning a 5th-round decision.
Oh, so you're just going to mirror Franco. You want to go out on a limb and steal that knockout call that he had?
Nah, I'm good, dude. I still think it's going to play out the way I had planned it. So.
All right. Well, another quote from Mayhem was that he said that Hendo took Bisping's soul. So this guy is very motivated to prove you two wrong, and I can't wait to see it. So I'm going to gain some ground on you guys then. But moving on to the next fight, it has Tony El Cucuy Ferguson versus Yves Edwards. Champ, I would like to hear what you guys say about this fight.
Well, Tony Ferguson, the Ultimate Fighter winner, going against the guy Yves Edwards, who's been around for a hell of a long time. He's only 35 years old, but he made his MMA debut in October of 1997. I was in grade school. I was in grade school when he made his debut. I was in 8th grade.
I was not. I was graduating high school. So
not to blow Nick up, but Nick was also 26 in grade school because he was a rock star in the classroom. But nonetheless, I let Franco go.
Touche. But, he's mixed success. He's 41-17. He's got very well-rounded. He's got 15 knockouts, but he also has 17 submissions. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights, training out of American Top Team. He's one of the... I was looking through his fight record today, like I always do on Monday afternoons before we make the picks. The guy's fought in the UFC. He's fought in Pride, Bodog Fight, Elite XC, Bellator, Strikeforce, and WEC. I mean, he's really fought in all the major organizations. Any major organization that's been around in the last 15 years, he's had a fight. He's fought Nate Marquardt, Matt Serra, KJ Nunes, Josh Thompson. So he's been around the game for a long time. He's infamous sort of for that knockout to Sam Stout a couple fights ago. It was just brutal. It had to be knockout of the year. But, honestly, I think they're feeding him to this kid, Tony Ferguson, who seems like he may be a legitimate contender in the next probably year or two. 12-2 with 8 knockouts. He trains over with Brock Lesnar at Death Clutch. He's 6 feet tall, so he's tall for a lightweight. This is going to be his 3rd fight in the UFC. He's 2-0 thus far. He's a really big puncher, a top prospect. This is really his first step up in competition with Eve Edwards, but I think it's tailor-made. I think it's perfect for him because Eve Edwards is a veteran. He's a name in the UFC, so they want to get that win under his belt to maybe then possibly take a little bit of a bigger step up in competition. But I just think at this point, Tony Ferguson's just way too much for him, and I have Tony Ferguson's 2nd round knockout.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Franco. I think they're definitely feeding Eve Edwards to El Kukui. They definitely, it's probably the last fight on Eve's contract, so it's easy to make the argument that he can just go and fight somewhere else for them so they don't have to pay him anymore. They brought him back probably as, like nostalgic reasons, and because he's been everywhere else. Let him finish his career in the UFC. But yeah,
they could feed him to these young guys. Well, just like this, they throw him to Tony Ferguson. It looks good on his record, and they drop him.
Oh, sure. You think they're going to keep him around after this, though? This would be, his 2nd loss in a row. And, he hasn't really looked that impressive since he came back. So, I mean, you might be right. I don't think it's a good name to have. He's got, 41 wins on his record? So, yeah, you might be right. They could keep him in there.
No, I'm agreeing. That's probably why he's fighting in the UFC right now. But I think if he gets knocked out, brutally, I think they would probably drop him or have him retire or whatever.
Yeah, because I think he is going to get knocked out brutally. I'm picking Ferguson to knock him out in the 1st round. I just don't think, he's been around a while. He's got a lot of punishment on him, like you pointed out. You named pretty much every organization that's ever been on Earth, and the guy's fought there. So, he's certainly made his rounds, and he's had a fairly successful career, but it's definitely in the twilight. He might only be 35, but people age at different rates, and, I think he's definitely on a big downslide in his career, so I think they're feeding him to him. It's going to look really impressive when Ferguson knocks him out in the 1st, and, they're going to really pump up the kid more than what they've already seen out of him and try to push him on to the next level.
Franco, I just, was going through your stats, and normally you're impeccable, but you left off Eve Edwards' list there. John the Baptist, Jesus Christ, Attila the Hun, and Genghis Khan are also a few more losses, but nonetheless, impressive in the effort. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's insane to see that he's been over that many different organizations and different fight leagues, but I mean, the guy's got 60 fights, so, I can kind of understand how that happens. But, yeah, I mean, he's no slouch. We'll see what happens with Tony Ferguson because he definitely has the talent, and, he seemed respectful in an interview I read today, saying it was really it's an honor to fight somebody like Eve Edwards and things like that. I mean, he definitely got a bad rap, not a bad rap. He came off as an asshole in, on the show. I mean, he said those horrible things to that guy, the castmate, whose season was over. They were just hanging around the house about how, he lost his kids and, paid child support and shit. But, he wouldn't back it up. I think he's the only guy in UFC in tough history, or maybe, one of 2 guys that finished every single fight that he had on the show, including the finale. So he's definitely got the talent. He's got the hands. A 3-time All-State wrestler in high school and a 2-time All-American in college. So he's got the pedigree. And then the scary thing is we're seeing him finish with hands. He's got elite level wrestling, and He's a big $155er. He's got a bad attitude to boot, but if he can harness that, it should work to his advantage. I'm not ready to anoint him as one of the next big things. I need to see it again, a few more times. But I think this is just kind of a step along the way in his journey. I don't anticipate him, having too much trouble with Eve. I think if he disrespects him and takes him lightly, he's in for a long night. But I don't think that'll happen. I think he is kind of centered, and he's looking to make a push. So I have him finishing Eve Edwards in the second round, and it could just be an accumulation of time spent in the octagon for Eves, and again, kind of being on the twilight of his career. But I just think Tony's too big, too strong, and too hungry right now. So I got Tony Ferguson via second round knockout as well.
All right, well, that's definite. I mean, we all got him by knockout, but we got another caller calling in, but we've had him on the air before, so I think he'll know what to do. What's up, brother?
What's going on, guys? How's it going?
Oh, there he is. It is his brother.
Yeah, what's going on, brothers? Brian, I would like to inform you that I believe the people you hung up on were Uncle Chris and Aunt Eve from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Oh, really?
Yes, I believe so. I believe they were trying to support their nephew by giving a call in, and I mean, it was a little confusing because Annie was playing like the executive secretary. Is this the Cauliflower channel? Will you please hold? But yeah, I'm pretty sure that the lady with the British accent and then the somewhat confused-sounding gentleman after her was family of ours.
Well. I didn't notice the British accent. I just heard hello, and then hello, Brian, and I was like, all right, this person knows my name.
I believe that's our family from Fort Lauderdale. They were trying to help you out.
Well, let me give a big up to Fort Lauderdale, New Jersey, and my aunt and uncle.
New Jersey,
very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, because Fort Lauderdale is in New Jersey.
Isn't New Jersey pretty much just the entire East Coast? That's the way I like to look at it. That makes sense, though, Billy, because just the way they said Brian, like, I was like, yeah, they know him. Like, there's no way that this is somebody, somebody just calling in. Like, it sounded pretty familiar, and clearly there was reciprocation on Dubs' end. Apparently you guys all the time.
That was
when I heard my name said in such a way, I definitely was curious, but, that I was saying you're on the air, and it didn't progress, so I was like, all right, well, what am I going to do, sit here and keep going, hello? I figured
I'm going to guarantee you that this is what happened, okay? It's the whole, delay thing. They probably heard one thing being said in their ear and something completely different coming out of their computer, and they had no idea what was going on. So
I didn't even think of that, about the... Yeah, so they were.
If you're still listening, we didn't hang up on you on purpose. And next time you call in, turn the sound off on your computer so you can actually hear Brian.
Yeah, I didn't actually hang up on him. I put them on hold because I was trying to reset everything up and everything, and maybe I was going to go back to the caller. But after there was a couple minutes there, I didn't actually hang up on them. But they were sitting on hold, and I don't know if I don't know. When you're sitting on hold, can you hear us or no?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can.
So they're listening to us talk, and then they probably thought I was maybe talking to them already. So it just all got confused and muddled. Yeah. But it makes sense because it definitely was familiar.
So anyway, on to I'm looking at the UFC.com, and is there only 2 fights this weekend? Like, is that it? Is it just the Tony Ferguson fight and the Bisping? The Bisping Mayhem fight, because according to them, there's nothing else. It's like the
Ultimate Fighter season finale has to go on Wednesday.
Right.
So
that's right. So all of
it'll get filled in.
Right. I'm just surprised that they don't already have some undercard stuff, like just sitting in the wings for it too, though.
Well, I think, Bill, what they normally do, they'll have the 2. The 135 and the 145 championships. Those will be plus the 2 that they already announced will be the 4 main fights, and then all the other like rejects from the house. They'll fill the rest of the card.
You're sitting around doing nothing here. So all right, so I'll go with Tony Ferguson too, though. Because I'm going to go with second round knockout. So not that my
nice.
opinion counts
Way to
for
back
anything.
up your brother. Way to give me a big fuck you. Like, hey, I don't give a shit that we're related. Why couldn't you agree with me, Billy? You got to agree with these two clowns.
Clearly that carries no weight, Dubs. You hung up on your aunt and uncle, you asshole. Why don't you Billy back you? Clearly there's no
Yeah, well, last
allegiances
week
or
you said you were going to crawl up in your mom's box, so I don't want to hear it, okay? Okay, Dolo?
Yeah, no, first of all, fact. Second of all, I wouldn't have hung up on her, at least. I'm not an animal. I mean, if we're hanging up on each other, what's keeping us together, dude? Basically, we're monkeys flinging shit at each other without rules or courtesy. Fucking animals over there. Your family has secretaries in Fort Lauderdale, New Jersey, for God's sakes, and you're hanging up on them? Fuck over yourself, dude. The kid gets the Cauliflower show, and all of a sudden he's high profile.
Well, of course. I mean, we are kind of famous now. We have how many people in the chat room? 10?
11.
So, 11. All right, see, I'm not good with numbers. Thank you very much for letting me know what's in there. So we got 11 people right now that we know of that are listening to this show.
Guess
so
what,
if
dude?
I can't get on my
13.
high horse yet, I don't know when I can.
Could have been 13, asshole. You hung up on him.
Good point. Good point.
Nice. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I apologize because we need all the calls we can get.
Nice. And I'll take Mayhem, too, just because I want to see Bisbing lose. So, I didn't call in early enough to actually weigh in while you experts were discussing that. So,
that's right. Well, one expert. One expert here, definitely. And I like to say it's me, but my record doesn't really show that, so I'll have to say it might be Franco. It's an expert at MMA, not at fantasy football, though, right, Franks?
Ew. Did you guys see the MMA hour today? There's been this back and forth between Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate. Have you guys been following this at all?
No,
I haven't followed any of the dialogue. I just look at pictures most of the time, but go on.
Yeah, Brian's usually too focused on the images of Miesha than to actually read any news about her.
Yes.
Well, this other chick, Ronda Rousey's pretty good looking too, and she was an Olympic medalist. I forget in what sport, but she kind of came in with a background, and she's submitted. I think she's 3-0 with 3 first-round submissions. She's been calling out Miesha Tate, after every fight. And then they were both on Ariel Helwani's show today, both on the phone, and they were like arguing back and forth. And basically the gist of it was Miesha Tate was saying she's not experienced enough, she doesn't deserve the fight. And then, basically they both started calling out Sarah Kaufman, who's another, I don't know if you guys really follow women's MMA, but basically they started getting this conversation about, Miesha said, well, just because you're pretty, just because Sarah might not be as pretty as you doesn't mean she doesn't deserve the fight. And then, Ronda started saying, obviously we're both good looking, guys want to see this fight. So they really, they basically just started calling every other woman in MMA ugly and saying that they were both hot and they should be fighting each other. So it was actually turned into a pretty entertaining show.
and nothing but thongs, and nothing but thongs. And yeah, Sarah Kaufman is a dog, so I don't want to see that fight.
I don't know. Usually half the time when there's female fight on the card, unless it's like 1 or 2 particular fighters who have some actual ability, that's the time that I pick to take a shit during the broadcast.
So depending on what they look like, sometimes I just get the baby oil out and put a thumb up my ass and stroke myself while that's going on. So, I end up in the bathroom afterwards as well.
And I'm sure that that's exactly what, the people who put them in the ring are looking for. Absolutely. Either way, you're watching.
But that's what's funny to me, though, because women most of the time in the sport always want their credit and they want to be respected and all this other stuff, and then these 2 chicks totally bring it around that all these guys want to see this fight. Like unless we're going to put KY in the octagon, nobody's really interested in seeing it. It shouldn't be about that. I mean, the best the best female fighter on the planet is Chris Cyborg, who I wouldn't fuck with your dick. So it doesn't matter. It's not about that. I'm personally not a fan or an advocate of women's MMA, but I certainly respect them. They can still beat the balls off of me. So it's funny to see it kind of revert back to that. That it goes to.
I actually like the women's fights. Whenever there's a Strikeforce card with the women's fights, I always find the women's fights entertaining because one of the big reasons actually is that when they go to the ground, they're so much more flexible than guys. They can pull off submissions and jiu-jitsu, maneuvers that guys can't. And like a lot of times, their ground. Some of these girls have better ground games than you'll ever see in men's MMA. It's really, I actually like watching the women. I'm one of the only ones.
Yeah. Me
I
too.
kind of see with me. It's like there's literally like 4 of them that actually have the skills to put on an actual fight, and the rest of them are just so outclassed when they're matched against someone like Chris Cyborg or Miesha Tate or anybody like that. That half the time it's a complete shit break of a match that you can afford to miss because the other girl is just getting pummeled. By the girl who just completely outclasses her. So I just have no interest unless, and again, it's like how many times can you see the same 4 girls beat the snot out of each other? Who cares?
I actually agree with that, and that's one of the reasons Dana White said he's not too keen on bringing it to the UFC because there's not enough high-level women fighters that, you got the 4 women that everybody knows that are competitive, but the rest of the girls that go and fight those girls, for the most part, just get beat on, just like Billy just said. So I think it'll grow. That if it's around, in other words, if Strikeforce doesn't drop it and Bellator keeps putting women's MMA on it, there's a little bit of money in it. I think eventually the divisions will grow so that the fights are more competitive. But I think that's spot on as to why it hasn't caught on as much as it maybe could have, is because there's just not enough good women.
Yeah, it's definitely true. It's Bellator. They're going to end up in Bellator because I think that Strikeforce contract with Showtime is up in February. But you know what, Franco? You know what you should probably do to try to bring this women's MMA to the forefront and help it maybe get some legs underneath it. Maybe write a blog.
Maybe I will. Where would I have to put it though if I wrote one?
Funny you should ask, because I happen to know of a website that can bring you great exposure and has some of the best blogs on all the internet. Why don't you listen to this?
A new era has dawned in blogging. Log on to thexlog.com and experience new standards and quality in commentary and analysis. Powered by RotoExperts.com, thexlog.com brings together the top expert bloggers with all the very best the Internet has to offer. You don't have to search for the most compelling and entertaining posts and writers anymore. They will be at your one central hub for high quality. So join us as a new revolution begins in sports and entertainment, only at thexlog.com. That's THEXLOG.com.
TheXlog.com. Everybody go over there and check it out. Frank puts the articles every so often. Maybe we'll put one up this week, That's for you to find out. Make sure you go on over there. But, I definitely, Frank, you heard that interview on MMA Weekly, right? With the 2 girls. Now, you think they were being serious, like cutting to the bone with that look shit, or you think it's because they get so much flack, like from other female fighters who are much uglier than they are, about how they're just good looking, and that's why they get a leg up and everything? Do you think they were just trying to turn the tables and say, listen how stupid this shit is, if this is how these girls want to see us and think this is why we're getting our notoriety, then you know what, let's just play up to it?
Well, I think Miesha Tate's a champion. She's, everybody's saying she was pretty, and she has been in the sport for a while. She's sort of paid her dues, for lack of a better term. So right. I think this girl, Ronda Rousey, who's just sort of burst onto the scene, who's also pretty good looking, I think, she's like, people have called her like the female Chael Sonnen. Like, she understands marketing. She's saying, listen, guys want to see us fight. Let's go fight. Are you scared? Why won't you fight me? Do you think I'll beat you? So I think she's using it as a marketing ploy to sort of get her name out there and, drum up some interest in that potential match. And I honestly think that Miesha Tate doesn't want to fight her because I think that she doesn't think that she's earned it and paid her dues like she should have. I guess she feels like a Sarah Kaufman, or Marlis Conan or somebody like that who's been in the sport a little bit longer would deserve a shot at her first. But I don't think she wants to fight her because I think she knows that she can't beat her, that Ronda Rousey would beat her. So I think she's trying to buy a little time and defend the title once or twice before she has to fight her, because I think that if they fight, I think Rousey, if you guys ever watch her fight, she literally goes across the cage, she grabs a hold of the other girl, and she does a flying armbar, and it works every single time. She dislocated the girl's elbow last fight. Her arm was hanging, like, the elbow joint was bent the wrong way, and her arm was hanging. I mean, she's a monster.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's not a monster, but that you know, like Billy brought up the point that, you know, there's a handful of girls who are legitimate, really good fighters. Maybe this girl just happens to be one of those legit fighters, but she still isn't as experienced as Miesha Tate. I mean, Miesha Tate, that's her game. She's a grappler, and she's a submission specialist herself. So I don't know if she's going to catch Miesha and a move like that. I think it's going to have to go to the ground. You might be right that she could take that belt.
No, I don't think she would do that to her, but she's been fighting at 145, so now she's dropping to 135. She's a lot bigger. You know, we haven't really seen her in a scrap yet, but I think in Miesha Tate's mind, she's thinking, well, you know, this girl is a threat to me, at least. In the very least, she could threaten me for the title. So, you know, if I don't have to fight her right now, I don't want to, you know, because she's trying to ride that gravy train. You know, Miesha Tate, you know, Cyborg's the champion at 145. If this girl comes down and beats her, there's only a couple primo spots in women's MMA. So I think Tate's trying to hold on to that spot as long as she can hold on to it, because once she's knocked off, once she doesn't have that title anymore, she's back to being irrelevant. So I just think she's trying to sort of milk her time at the top and probably become a fucking model or an actress or something like Gina Carano, because it just seems like that's the route some of these girls will take.
You could be right, but she's only got a month and a half to make any money with that title, because they are not doing anything with women's MMA. I think once that Showtime contract's up, that's the end of Strikeforce. She's going to have to go over to Bellator.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Strikeforce continue, like as sort of a feeder league. As like a feeder league where they have the lesser guys, or, you know.
As much as Dana isn't a fan of of women's MMA, he'd also, like you were saying before, he'd be gift wrapping it for Bellator, and Bellator is their main competition. So if they just basically gave up on women's MMA, Bellator would take it, and then they would have that other angle, and it's a certain fan base they can bring in, and you know, MMA is the fastest growing sport in this country right now, and you know, there's a lot of young girls who might want to get into it. So where are they going to go watch it? It's no longer have to be MTV2 or, you know, hunt to find, you know, where Bellator fights are. You can find it on Spike TV. So I think they would just be gift wrapping it and giving a market over to Bellator. And Dana White is a smart businessman, so I don't think he would give it up that easily.
You could be right. I just, you know, like you said, and don't get me wrong, I like watching women's MMA for, you know, the ones that do have technique and everything, and yeah, every so often there's a pretty girl. But just like you said before, Mike, Dana really doesn't see, you know, anything in women's MMA right now. So do you really think he cares that much that he would care about losing these girls? I mean, it's a couple of girls that, you know, they'd be losing that all of a sudden Bellator would have. And I don't think Bellator is going to make such a big move with women fighters that all of a sudden it's going to put them on the map. I don't think it's going to really help them out either.
I think they'd make a move with it, though, dude. They've shown that they're not going to roll over, and they were happy when the UFC left, and they took, you know, the Spike deal. I think that they would certainly take that on, especially if there was no other comp, and that was something that, you know, differentiated them from the UFC, and they'd be getting it for free, basically, because, you know, there'd be no other place for these women to go. So I think they certainly would gobble it up really quick.
I know they would. Maybe I didn't say what I meant properly. I know they would definitely sign those women fighters. I just don't think it's going to be, you know, anything that's really going to bring people flocking over to see a bunch of chicks fight, you know, whether or not they have the best crop of female fighters out there, because Bellator has a pretty solid women's division, but of course, as we've seen, Cyborg is world class when it comes to women, you know, women's fighting, and you know, then you got Marloes Queen and Miesha Tate, and this girl now who's showing signs that she's the real deal. So if they step in there and they just beast those chicks, you know, it shows how far apart these things are, and I don't think it's going to really give that much of a shot in the arm for ratings or anything.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have them printing money, but I mean, you know, when you're talking about, you know, being in sales and marketing and things, I'd rather be the one with it as opposed to the one without it, especially when I have it already. You know, you already have it if you're the UFC now because of what you know, basically took over in Strikeforce. You don't have to do anything for it, you just have to maintain it. So what the hell?
I'm sorry, why would you give it to interrupt you, Dolo. Yogun's back. Our fan from several weeks ago, Yogun, has returned. Maybe we should say hello to him. Yogun, thanks for coming back to the show. See if he types anything. Go on with your point.
No, that's pretty much it, man. Because again, like I said, I'm not a huge advocate of women's MMA, and I think we've given a little bit too much time to it for my own liking on the show right now. So I'll switch my gears myself. John Fitch making a lot of noise, and it's been a while since we've seen him fight, but he basically came out today and just said, no one has told him why he can't get a title shot, and he feels like, not that he's been necessarily blacklisted, but he feels like they're just going to give it to anybody else but him. I think that may have been the case, maybe 8 months ago. Now, $170 stacked. I was talking to Franco about it earlier. I mean, you figure you got Diaz GSP, you got Carlos Condit waiting in the wings, you got Campman, who just won a fight, lost 2 decisions, and easily could have been on a 5-fight win streak. You still got Rick Story out there. You got a young, hungry beast in Rory McDonald. It's a stacked division, but Fitch is still number 2 in the world at that weight class, and he's 23, he's like 23-2, and he's got 1 loss in the UFC, and it was a decision loss where he got whooped by GSP. But do you guys think there's any validity to that? You think that it's kind of the world against John Fitch because some people think he has a boring style? Do you think it's that they don't like he won't fight Koscheck and his boys, or do you think it's just a matter of timing?
No, I mean he's coming. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me go on, Frank. He's coming off a draw with BJ Penn. What did he think? I mean, give me a break. He's his bigger wins at 170 have been against Thiago Alves, who really has sort of come back down to earth the last couple of years. He doesn't have huge wins. He doesn't have any, wins that. He doesn't have a fight where if you watch him fight the guy right after the fight, you say you got to give that guy the title shot next. He's some fucking human blanket. He doesn't have the best style, and he hasn't beaten the Josh Koschecks or the bigger names of the division. He's beaten tough guys in the division, but especially with this younger wave of welterweights that are coming up right now between Jake Ellenberger and Hathaway and the kid up
and Hathaway.
He's going to have to beat 1 or 2 of these younger guys. And if what? All I ever hear John Fitch do is bitch. If you don't like it, dude, go to Bellator, go somewhere else. I'm tired of hearing him whine. He's always on his blog and on his Twitter. He's always fucking complaining. You couldn't beat BJ Penn, so I don't want to hear from him anymore.
John Fitch, the bitch.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with Frank 100%. It has to do with what you said, Dolo, about him not wanting to fight his boys. The UFC don't like that shit. But coming off that draw, which, it really kind of halted him from anywhere where he could have went to the top. Really put the brakes on it because, if he would have went for something more aggressive and tried to finish that fight when he was wearing down BJ, then you know what, he could bitch all he wants that he got robbed and he isn't at the top. But he didn't do enough in that fight. I think he won. I know you guys think he won, but he really didn't do enough to convince the judges, which of course we've seen bad judging for years. So if you don't do enough to prove it, you could totally get fucked. And that's his fault. And for him to be sitting here crying and saying he should be having GSP or he should be fighting a top contender to get the next shot, it's just crazy. And like, as much as I like Fitch and I like the way he works and he definitely dominates, dude, like Franco said, it was a perfect thing to call him. He's the human blanket. He just lays on people and rolls all over him. And a lot of people don't like that shit. They want to see a brutal KO, and he's not going to give that. But I'm going to change gears real quick because our one new fan who has returned to the show had a question. He said, what if Brock is not able to pound him out? Quoting you guys. I believe he wanted to do it in pound him out. Do you think Uberim wins? What do you guys think? Billy, why don't you go first? Because we've had you on hold now forever. We haven't heard your voice. So, Billy, what do you think?
Well, if Brock can't get Overeem down, I think, that Overeem definitely has some power. So, yeah, if you can't take him down and pound him out, as you guys like to say, then I don't know. I think it's a little more interesting. The longer it's on its feet, I think, the better chance Overeem has, and that's probably the same cliche bullshit that anybody else will say about that fight. So, yeah, if he can't take him down, then I think that he's got a little bit of a problem. And that's all I got to say about that.
Of course. Anybody else want to jump in, or do you want my answer?
Yeah, you go ahead, Dubs.
Well, I'm just going to sum it up short and sweet and say, yeah, if Brock can't take it down, it's definitely over. I mean, Overeem is definitely the same size as Brock, whether it's from hard work in the gym or other reasons. He's the same size. He's definitely a strong dude. He's got high-level striking. Of course, he didn't look that impressive the last time out, and we saw what happened when pretty high-level striker, beat Brock and took the belt from Cain Velasquez, beat the hell out of him, and Brock couldn't keep him down. So, it is a very dangerous place to be for Brock. So, if it doesn't get taken down, Brock's in trouble. I do have confidence that Brock's going to come out highly motivated. He's going to rip Overeem down. He's going to hold him there, and he's going to take him down and pound him out.
I think Brock's going to win relatively easily. I saw the two of them next to each other a week or two ago. Brock looks much bigger. Just quickly, you got Miguel Cotto and Antonio Margarita this weekend. I'm taking Cotto. Who are you guys taking?
Question: Is he allowed to have liquid cast in his gloves, Margarita?
Yeah, that's
why I take it.
I would have to say Cotto. After seeing that fight, dude, it made perfect sense. After Margarito and Cotto fought, and it was a testament to Cotto how tough he was, considering that he was getting hit with basically casts or the equivalent of such a thing. But I just didn't get it after seeing the fight and the highlights. Seeing Cotto's face and the amount he was bleeding out of his mouth, I just said, this doesn't make any sense. It looked like he's getting hit with a blunt object, and lo and behold, he was basically getting hit with a cast. I would like to see Cotto come out and finish Margarito. Margarito's a tough dude, though. Even though he might have been cheating and all that other stuff, he's a guy that keeps coming. He's intense. He's definitely a game fighter. I just think Cotto's going to be too much and has too much, to come back from now.
Well, I'm just going to take Margarito just to disagree with you two because I hate your guts. And now it's about time I wrap up the show, so I just wanted to say that Nick Diaz has a new fan in Josh Koscheck. He thinks Diaz can take the belt from GSP, and he's hoping that he gets the next shot at Diaz when Diaz has to defend that belt first. So everybody remember to check out Roto Experts. Check out the xlog.com. Check out Nick Frank at nfrankrotox. Check out my Twitter at Cauliflower, the number 4 ear. And Dola, how do we get in touch with you?
I'll be here all week. I got nothing to do. I'm literally going to sit here for a week.
All right, beautiful. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We're tapping out.
Stop.
But